Ah, oh wow. Yeah, it's been a while since I did one of these videos, hasn't it? Well, um, are you, the person who is viewing this, whoever you are you feeling like life feels a little dead, feels a little boring, feels a little tried? You get this feeling like you're aging and you don't know how it's going to turn out? Well, I have good and bad news for you. And this is something that I've realized. So, one thing I'll say in general is that this life is basically what we make it to be. It's it's not your fault whatever happens to you, but it's from another video Will Smith did. He made a really good point. It's not your fault whatever happens to you, but it's your responsibility how you deal with it. Excellent point. So, it's your responsibility how you respond to life. So that's in general a foundation of what we're about to talk about. And I was reflecting on relationships and why is it that sex and relationships has changed for me in the last 10 years. I didn't feel the same way I did about it when I was a teenager, even when I was a kid, when I would fantasize about these kinds of things. And I think pornography had a part to play in it. A huge part. The mediatization of the female body has a huge part to play with it. And the act of sex, it's like too much. But I also think that it's because of the lives we choose to lead. That's kind of difficult to explain, but there's a reason why the best love stories are the ones with the most obstacles. There's a reason why it's really important for a woman to not be too easy to attain. There's a really important reason why one partner has to chase the other, and then sometimes the other partner has to chase them. And that has to do with life, and that has to do with what makes a relationship really enticing and interesting. Is that you ever notice when you wait for something to come in the mail, you have this excitement about it. You value it more. When you pay money that you worked for into something, you value it more. Well, you know, the same thing it works with relationships. If things are too easy, then that romantic drama that is actually necessary to make it really feel like, wow, this is an incredible experience. I'm so happy that we finally ended up together, doesn't happen. Instead, it's like living life, coasting it because, you know, making things easy. Now, this is not to say that if you have a relationship that didn't end up, you know, going back and forth, that there was no game playing, that was a bad thing. Actually, game playing can be done terribly negatively, and most of the time it is. Most of the time it's manipulative and abusive. However, I've come to understand that the game, the attraction game, is really important to feel like something is really valuable and worth your time. And that's hard because attraction and desire in general is extremely uncomfortable usually. We don't like, it's like we have a love-hate relationship with being in desire. Getting back to on relationships, that anxiety, when you send a text and they don't respond for a day or two. Oh my God, everyone's been there. I don't care who you are, unless you've married since the age of 18, you've been there. And if you really like the person, oh my God, it's anxiety provoking. And then when they finally respond with like 3 words, you're like, holy crap, what do I say? You know? And that is the foundational salt to garnish the future relationship if it works out. Now the thing is, most of the time these things don't work out. And is it because you didn't fight hard enough? Maybe. Is it because it wasn't the right time for you or her or whatever or him? Maybe. But the point is that the journey to make that connection and to fight for it is going to make it so much more valuable and interesting and enticing. But let's backtrack away from relationships for a moment and let's actually reflect on what that means for life in general. I discovered, this is my intuition and my logical processing is figuring this out. I think that the people who live the greatest lives are not the people who have the most, they're people who achieve the most, or even more specifically, are attempting to achieve the most. What do I mean by that? It doesn't, just to be clear, you do not need to succeed at your achievements to be having a good life. But if you want to really experience the emotional highs and lows of life, brother or sister, you got to get them high. That's just the way it goes. If you want to feel comfort and, to play it safe, then guess what? The emotional highs and lows are not going to be there. Now, obviously, emotional highs and lows is like navigating a minefield. If you're dealing with emotional highs and lows all the time, it's really hard. So you got to balance your life out. But if there's none, then why are you here? What's the point? Take some time to appreciate that the things that you struggle for and the things that you work on are the things is that aspect of struggle and work is the groove of life that you got to get with. If we choose to sit in desire, if we choose to absorb and be cool with how outrageous our emotions can get, then we feel alive, we feel electric. It's almost like you can't sleep, but you got to figure out how to sleep. So that's the balance of life. That's the middle path that Buddhism always talks about, is you go for the things that you want, you live your human life, you live it fully, but you always remember that you are consciousness, that you can remain steady through it all. But what I see so often, especially from all circles, spiritual circles, non-spiritual circles, are people that settle for comfort and then, they feel bored or fearful or confused, like I have been sometimes, and that is normal because your life is not experiencing those highs or lows. Right? If you want those highs or lows, if you want the things that you see in the romantic movies or the adventures, you got to go out and you got to have a friggin' adventure. There's no way around it. And you will feel that youthful experience that you had when things were new, when you were a child and when you were in high school. You got to be present. You got to be healthy because this is your instrument. And then you got to go and work for the things that are important for you, whether you succeeded or not. If you do that, you're going to feel that excitement for life, like everything is new and interesting and curious like you did when you were younger. Peace out.